Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks, where women share their dreams, struggles, and successes. How they were able to persevere despite the fear and create the life they want and deserve. If you're looking for inspiration to move you past where you normally would stop, then this is the show for you. Here's your host, Melissa Banks.
Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. We're so excited that you joined us today. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. Today we have an amazing woman to share her journey with us and how she was able to keep going despite the circumstances. Today our guest is Dr. Channing Wells. Dr. Wells is an optometrist, travelpreneur, and a motivational speaker. She has been in her optometrist practice since 2014 and started her own practice, Wells Vision, in 2018, where her goal is to provide friendly and professional eye care services. Dr. Wells is also the CEO of Wells Elite Travel, which allows her to provide custom vacation packages along with business opportunities in the travel industry. She is the widow of fallen United States Marshal Josie Wells and the mother of one son, Josie Wells Jr., who is her motivation to succeed. She has used her grief to empower others through motivational speaking since 2015. Welcome, Channing, and thank you for being here today.
Welcome, Melissa. I'm great to be on your show.
Thank you. Your story is so inspiring, and it will inspire anyone who listens to your story or even visits your social media. When I was preparing to talk with you today, I went to your social media, and it's so inspirational, one post after the other after the other. And I applaud you for that because there's so much negativity. To have that positive come out of your page is just uplifting to anyone who goes there to visit. I did want to ask you about something I saw on your page, though, just to open it up a little bit. Is you posted recently, I believe, still standing, still glowing, and certainly still blessed. With this post with pictures of you and your son over the years, I just thought it would be great for our audience to hear you talk about that and why that was important to you to post.
Absolutely. Well, similar to what you said, I am a widow. When my husband passed, of course, when he was in law enforcement, a few months prior, actually it was Christmas Eve of 2014, that's when we found out that we were pregnant with our first child after a long battle of infertility issues. Christmas 2014 was the greatest day ever. My husband, that was his pride and joy. He just knew that he was going to be a great father. Until his untimely death in March of 2015, I was only maybe a few days shy of 16 weeks pregnant. He wasn't there, of course, to find out the gender. And so when Christmas came that year of December 2015, I was able to actually hold that Christmas gift that I had been carrying since the prior Christmas before. And I always look back. Oftentimes, the holidays are very hard for a lot of us when we're grieving and when we're thinking about the memories of our loved ones. That my first Christmas with my son was actually very joyous because I knew how much my husband wanted a son. He wanted that legacy. And I made sure that every year then I will make sure that Christmas would always be a joyous occasion that stemmed from Christmas of 2014. So I would wear my Christmas sweater, my ugly Christmas sweater, and I would dress my son up each year, and it was so cute looking at him in the different outfits. And over time, you just look at how he has grown. He's 5 years old now, but you look at how much time has come since then, and I always say no matter what, I'm still blessed. I still have my health. I have my family. My situation is no worse than anyone else who has lost a loved one, but nonetheless, I have to keep moving. And so that's where the three terms, still blessed, despite all of those things, still healthy, and all of those things that I remember and carry on for my husband.
Wow, that's such an amazing way to hold on to the dream and to encourage yourself as you go through it. I just know that when I started at the bottom so I can get the oldest picture first and work my way up to the most recent picture. So it was very encouraging to me, and I know that anyone who sees that will also be encouraged by it. Okay, so you had a dream of being a doctor, and you had a backup plan, I think, of another career, but you didn't have to do that because being a doctor happened in 2014, and you were able to be an optometrist. But you didn't stop there, Shannon. You wanted to go further than just be a doctor in someone else's office. You wanted to own your own practice. Why was that important to you to keep going and push through the circumstances that you were dealing with, circumstances that, of course, would have made a lot of people stop in their tracks, but it didn't make you stop. You pushed through those circumstances and opened up your own practice. Why was that important for you to do that, and how were you able to push through your circumstances?
Yeah, so when I graduated from optometry school in 2014 from the Illinois College of Optometry, my husband and I made a pact. He says, okay, I know you just graduated, you want to get your feet wet, go work for a practice, build up your experiences. And he always told me, my wife is not meant to work for someone long term. We actually had a 5-year plan. The goal was by 2020, actually, he and I together were going to save up, build my own practice, and do all of that. But, of course, when he passed in 2015, not even a full year later, I was crushed. So I was by myself. Now I'm a single parent, and all of those ideas just started rushing away from me. But after I had my son, before I had my son, I literally went right back to work after my husband's funeral. He passed. His funeral was on a Tuesday. I went to work the following Tuesday. Most people were shocked because they thought I was going to quit, be a stay-at-home mom until I had my son, do all of that. But I could not stay home and grieve because I feared that I would miscarry, considering how many years it took us to conceive. So I went right back to work. After I had my son, things became a little bit challenging for me because I was the sole parent now. I had to co-parent with my mother, and it got to the point where I didn't want to call in from work, so my mom would fill in and take my son to doctor's appointments, or if there was something wrong, I could shoot her a text and she would go see what's wrong with my son. That didn't sit well with me, and I let that play out until literally 2018, where I say, you know what, that's my son. I can't do that. I have to be there for him. And that's when I had to put it all to God, and I prayed, and I said, Lord, please order my footsteps. I don't have any backup plans. I have money saved because I always save for a rainy day. But whatever the plans you have for me, I trust you wholeheartedly. But I can't work for anyone anymore. I have to work for myself. I have to do my own schedule. I have to keep up with the goals that my husband and I had planned for my future to become a doctor. And literally within a month's time, I prayed about it, and I let everything else just go from there. I put in my 90-day resignation, and I did not look back. And some of my greatest accomplishments came from stepping out on faith and just entrepreneurship. There are pros and cons to it, but it is so rewarding, and I don't regret it. But my main thing was my son. I had to be there for him. As a woman, as a single parent, you don't want someone to tell you, no, you can't take off, or if you take off, you're going to have to make up this time when it deals with your kids. And I didn't want to be put in a box, and so I knew I had to do something differently. It's one thing to be an associate doctor. You have to follow the rules. That's not your practice. You work for them, but it's so much rewarding when you have your own, and that's something that no one can take from you. And I'm here today. I'm a living testament. I'm still standing, and my practice is still thriving.
That's wonderful, Shannon. What I heard you say, though, is, you didn't plan on having to do all of those things and being responsible for all of those things on your own. But you can take that and say, okay, I can't go forward. So many of us, when things start coming at us, we use that, it becomes our excuse to stop. But what it did for you, it gave you the motivation to keep going and to figure it out as you go. You had to adjust your plan to figure it out and do what was most important to you and not what seemed safest for you. So that gives a great testament to your faith, to moving forward on your dream despite the circumstances. So that is amazing. I did see the article that I believe it's Hazelhurst, if I'm not mistaken, and the article caught my attention because it had in big writing, "Eyes have it, there's a new optometrist in town." And just that headline was exciting to me, and I didn't know some of the details of your story that you could share it with us, but just seeing that headline made me want to jump up and cheer. How did you feel the day that it finally happened, that the press was there, the office was opening up, and you had achieved yet another dream?
That day, I had so many shivers. I was so nervous. I cried that day. I cried that morning before I got out of bed. It was all a whirlwind. And literally, when I say all of that took place in less than a week's time, I was not prepared for the outcome. I actually downplayed the situation a little bit. The eyes have it. I was like, okay, let me do something different to try to let everyone in the community know that there is a new doctor in town. But literally, I wasn't going to even do a grand opening. I was just, going to just work that first day. But I was like, you know what? No. Even if it's an accomplishment, whether it's big or small, you need to celebrate you. People need to know about your story. And so I actually reached out to one of my college classmates at the time. He was on the WJTV News. I think his name is, I think that's the correct news station. His name was Terrence Friday. I reached out to him and I said, hey, Terrence, I'm going to do a small opening. I want to let the community know that there is a new doctor in town. I take walk-ins. I take a lot of insurances. Would you be of assistance? And he jumped on it. What I didn't expect was for them to uncover the background of how I got there, about losing my husband and opening my practice up in a short period of time. That part was so unexpected. I just wanted to be a small-town doctor in a new community that I was not familiar with because I had never been in Hazelhurst before. I would always pass by the exit, but I literally have never been in that town before. And the show of the people in the community that stopped by, it made my heart so joyous. And the most important part that was the takeaway for me is when I was able to hold my son during the ribbon cutting with the Hazelhurst Chamber of Commerce. That was the most rewarding experience for me because my baby has been with me throughout this entire journey, even when I was carrying him in my stomach. So for him to hold those big pair of scissors and cut that ribbon with his mommy, I felt so blessed. And I knew that the words that my husband said prior to him passing, maybe a week before, if anything happens to me, he was referring to himself, I promise that you and my unborn child will always be okay. And that was the confirmation that I needed on the day of my grand opening, which was August 1st of 2018.
Oh, wow. It's so much in what you just said. But one of the things that really jumped out to me is you talked about how quickly it happened. See, I believe that when we're in line with what God's purpose for us to do, when we're in line with our destiny, it doesn't have to take a long time. It can happen suddenly and quickly. And that's just another testament of how well that can happen. Also, you were able to reach out. So often we want to do something, but we want to do it all on our own, and we don't want to let anybody in. So I think that's amazing that you reached out to Terrence. Actually, I know Terrence Friday. So it's just amazing that you reached out to him. And then it was beyond what you could have asked or thought it would be. It was an amazing day and a fulfilling a journey, a destiny that was already predetermined. So that was amazing to me. Okay, so now you've been in business for 3 years. This is your third year, right?
2 years.
Own business.
2 years.
That's
2
years. So awesome. So if you met a female entrepreneur right now that was facing some challenges similar to yours, what would you say to her if she was thinking of stepping out on the space and starting her own business as a female entrepreneur?
My first advice would be go with your gut instinct. Everything that you need, you are equipped with. You do not need anyone's confirmation. You do not need anyone's opinion or anyone's support. Everything that you need is inside of you. Definitely go to the town that you're interested with and make sure you get involved with the community. Look and see what's needed in the community, and then that's a great way to put forth the efforts to start your practice. Don't hesitate to network. Network is your net worth. And definitely put yourself out there. Join your local chamber of commerce, but don't ever feel like you can't do it, because I won't be the first. Whoever is before me or after me, you definitely won't be the first. There are so many people who are laying the groundwork for you. But just trust in yourself. If you can think it, then you can do it, and that's enough confirmation for you right there.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Okay, so I started my business planning over 20 years ago, and all the advice I heard was find that one thing and do it well. Just do that one thing and get really, really good at it. But you found your thing, and you got really good at that, but you didn't stop right there. You kept going, and you started Wells Elite Travel. So tell us a little bit about that part of your business.
So that came to me at a time that I was not thinking about it. One of my ways of grief, of going through the journey, was to travel. My husband and I were frequent travelers, but we wanted to travel internationally a little bit more. And so after he passed and after my son was a decent age to travel, I would say right around 6 to 7 months, if I could think it, then I would go. I travel nonstop. And it got to the point that back in, I want to say 2018, I was literally traveling each month. The year in 2018, when I resigned from the group practice to start my own practice, February, the month where I did the praying and I said, Lord, guide my footsteps, that was the only month out of that calendar year that I did not go anywhere. So I had time to stay still and not move. A young lady reached out to me. She didn't know me at all. We were part of this Amazon group on Facebook, but she saw that we were sorority. We were in the same sorority. She reached out to me, and she asked me, she says, hey, I know you don't know me, but would you be interested in attending a seminar? And when I went to that seminar, it was about it's like a network marketing, but the main thing was about travel. And I looked at her and I said, I know you don't know me, but I travel a lot. I didn't know that you could be a travel agent and you can save on your own personal travel. And that is what made financial sense to me. I said, okay, I don't have to change my lifestyle. I know I needed to save more money, but I didn't know that as a travel insider, you get the perks. You get to travel, but you don't have to break the bank by doing it. And by doing so, I have traveled the world. I have taken my son with me. He has several stamps in his passport. He loves the airport just as much as I do, and he craves it. And this pandemic has really put a damper on things because he's constantly asking, Mommy, when are we going to the airport? When are we going to the airport? So it has become a lifestyle for him, and I know this is something that my husband and I had definitely planned for our children. In the future, when we were going to have a big family, we always wanted to diversify them so they could have an outlook on life, things besides Mississippi, things beyond the United States. And it's just been a whirlwind. I've met so many people across the country, so many people internationally from my travels, and I just love sharing my story. But traveling, oh my gosh, it's euphoric. If anyone has the opportunity, I would definitely suggest travel the world. Go anywhere. If you can think it, just go. Don't even think about the cost. Plan in advance if you want to save on it, but just go. The world is so big, so many opportunities.
But you know what? That's just a testament to designing your dreams. You know, the travel, you weren't looking to start a travel business, but you were living that life. It was that passion. And just hearing you talk about it, you can hear your excitement and your love for it. So that's designing your dream. And that's how you become successful in designing your dream and seeing your dreams come true. It's loving it and being passionate about it. I'm a firm believer that if we do what we're passionate about and design our life for it, we are going to be more happy, we're going to be more successful, and more fulfilled. Now, you did mention something that I was going to ask you next. You talked about, you kind of hit on this year and the impact that it had not only on your travel business, but I'm just curious as to what impact this 2020 and COVID-19 had on your optometrist business as well. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so in the beginning of the pandemic, my optometry practice was hit really hard. I went from having a full schedule to basically a schedule that was non-existent. When the pandemic hit, I want to say at the end of March, it's when we had to cease seeing patients for just regular routine eye exams. But I was in my office maybe for about 2.5 weeks for the month of April, only to be there if there was an ocular emergency. But during that time, no one was coming in for even an eye infection, so I definitely had to close up shop. And we really did not open up until like the first week of June. But I was blessed because even though I missed, what is that, 2 to 3 months worth of income, all my patients were lined up at the door in June because they couldn't see. People don't play about their vision. They'll play about a dentist visit or something like that, but if they can't see, they can't function. And so I received everything back tenfold, and it's been steady. And then I was very reluctant to also get grants as well as the PPP loan, so that kept me afloat and to make sure that my staff still was able to work. But it was definitely one of those things where it will humble you because I'm a double entrepreneur and I'm not receiving a constant salary. It really hit home when you think you have everything, but it could be taken just like that. All of your income is affected. What are you going to do then? And so this pandemic has definitely taught me to save as if there's no tomorrow, but I've already been in that mindset since my husband passed 5 years ago. Save in the event that the unfortunate will happen tomorrow. So that kept me afloat until I could get the grants and the PPP loan. But it was hard, but there are so many people whose struggle was a lot worse than mine that I never would complain. I remained humble, and I knew it was just temporary. It was just a temporary thing until the doors were open and I could return back to work.
Okay, so you're currently back into your office, and how have you had to adjust some things? So even being in the office and eye care, how are you able to adjust the way you see patients on your regular basis due to the COVID-19 environment?
Yeah, so of course we definitely kicked up our sanitary, hygienic things up a notch. So of course we have all of the plexiglass up in the office. Patients, we do the temperatures, we do the questionnaires where we ask them about their previous history with any COVID. Any COVID exposure to anyone who's been, exposed to COVID. The cleaning, gloves, mask, having to adjust, and I wear glasses, and I love glasses, but now I have to be very careful because with my mask, my glasses are constantly fogging up, and that's different. And then I have to be very careful because I work with the eyes, and so if I have a patient that needs assistance with their contact lenses and you have on gloves, that becomes a headache. So a lot of different maneuvering, a lot of different techniques, but it makes you more mindful of, hey, were we as clean with our disinfectant as we were before? Because now this pandemic is really highlighting it and making us notice some things. But it's like when you walk into the office, all you smell is cleaning supplies and different things like that. So it's an adjustment, but the patients, they completely understand. They work with us. Sometimes some things may be not necessarily slower, but we take our time. I limit the amount of people in my office. I had to remove some of the chairs in the waiting area just to make sure we're social distancing. But other than that, we've just been moving along. We just make it work. We make it work.
Well, one thing the 2020 and the COVID-19 period has taught us and me also is that being able to adjust and pivot the way we do business and adjust our dream and the way we had pictured it, that's what's important because, like you said, so many people were hit in so many different ways and some very devastating. So the year of 2020 did bring a lot of hardships and a lot of struggles, but it also brought some things to light that in ways that you never, for me, for sure, that I never thought about doing certain ways. And the key to it all, in my opinion, is just what you just said, is being able to pivot the business, know that it's temporary, it's not here forever, and do continue to work hard and push for your dreams. So one of the things you said, Shannon, was don't wait for, not in this interview, but in your social media, you said don't wait for peace to come to you. Go out and create your own. So I'm sure running two businesses, raising your son, being a mom, speaking engagements, I know that you have to manage a lot and your schedule has to get hectic. How do you remain so confident and focused to keep going and to not quit?
That's a good question, and I work on that a lot. That actually used to be a struggle for me. As I've gotten older, as time has passed, I learn how to say no to things. I have to organize things of importance. What's of importance, what's of the least importance, what needs to be done now, what needs my attention now, what will be the outcome. I have to think of those things in advance, and I don't stress over anything like I used to back in the day. And when I say back in the day, 5 or 6 years, I just don't stress about those things because we all know that the inevitable can happen, not just with the pandemic, but anything. You always have to have a plan B. And at the end of the day, as long as you know you put forth your best effort, you can always walk away not blaming yourself for a situation or knowing that I prepared myself for this even though I didn't know it was going to happen. And that's how I have to see life. And at the end of the day, I have to be able to look in the mirror and say, I am at peace with myself. I am proud of my decision. This is where I am, and this is how it's going to be. And stick with that. Don't let anything else change that unless you can honestly justify it.
Wow, that's awesome. Shannon, this has been an amazing conversation. Your courage and your strength through some difficult and challenging situations and to always look to the light and lean into your faith and work hard is what Designing Your Dream is all about. Before I let you go, though, I wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to tell people how to contact you, give you your contact information, and any final words you may have.
Absolutely. For those who are participating on any social media platform, my personal page is on Instagram at I am Channing Wells. That's CHANNINGWELLS. And my personal page has direct links to both my optometry and my travel page. And I'm also on Facebook at Channing Wells. Just reach out to me. You can send me an email, and I will definitely reach back out to you. Be blessed.
Thank you, Channing, for being here today, and thank you to our audience for tuning in to today's edition of Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying all your dreams are possible. Believe in yourself, work hard, and don't quit. Until next time, thank you for choosing Dream by Design with Melissa Banks, and enjoy your day.